like really sharp timing. Uh, is Community's the one right now,
What
and
about
I
reality
uh,
TV?
just Survivor and The Amazing Race.
You don't watch any cooking shows?
Top Chef, Top Chef.
Top Chef?
Yes,
I don't know that one. I'm watching Kitchen Nightmares now.
I'll watch that, but it is very repetitive, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
prefer. I actually like the one where they compete, um,
Kitchen
uh, with the same guy, Ramsay.
Kitchen Masters? No, I
Something
can't
like
remember.
that. Yeah,
He
Master
had
Chef.
that competition. Master Chef. Top Chef is like Survivor and Iron Chef combined. So
Okay.
16 chefs going down, one per episode.
Yeah.
It's quite. I bought the Top Chef cooking book. Like it made me really want to. It wasn't a great book, but it really made me want to do a lot more in the kitchen. And that was about the time that we had the Iron Chef on the JT.
Yeah, that was fun.
Mm.
So if you were to choose a reality show that you could be on, what would it be?
Mm. Maybe The Amazing Race. Maybe I could handle that.
Yeah, I was thinking about
I,
that
I,
one.
I don't
That,
hate taxi drivers, and
you don't
you know,
what?
I don't hate taxi drivers.
Oh, okay.
On that show, you just have why don't these Chinese people speak English?
Yeah.
Why are these Chinese people speaking Chinese? I don't get angry like that, and I can kind of understand that I'm in a foreign country.
So what was it then that brought you traveling all the way across the world to Japan in the first place?
The short reason is at about age 25, I was incredibly bored. I had a job and I didn't care for it, and I was really worried that I was going to do it for 40 years. And the reputation about Japanese as being impossibly hard or something. Like people just say this stuff like Japanese is the hardest language in the world or something.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with it, but I wanted to test it. I wanted to push myself. Um, and that was the main reason for moving. But before that, I I enjoyed the country, right?
What do you mean? The countryside?
Well, no, I enjoyed Japanese culture. Like when I was a kid, I was really into comics. So I liked reading X-Men. Wolverine goes to Japan and hangs out, and X-Men go to Japan all the time. So I thought that was really interesting. And then I got into Nintendo when I was a little older, and like that's 100% Japanese culture. Then in university, I studied some ukiyo-e,
What's that?
the Japanese wood block prints.
Oh,
I I really like drawing. I don't like painting, and Japanese art tends to be more lines and colors. So I really enjoyed Asian art and specifically Japanese art. And then I studied a bit of Zen. So that was all stuff that was interest in Japan. But moving to Japan seemed like a fiction, like it was impossible. So
what were you doing in
uh,
Canada, by the way? Like what
I,
job
I
was so
was
terrible?
I was a manager.
Of
I was working at York University, and it was like overpaid job, York University Union, amazing everything. Like the medical plan was great, and
what were
in
you
the
manager
summertime,
of?
the business selling and stuff. Like they sell shirts and shot glasses and stuff. So I
You
was helping run their
you like a
sales.
bookstore or something?
Next, connected to the bookstore.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So the wonderful job was
Merchandise.
just too horrible for you, was it?
It's a kind of job where people like are dying to get it, and I would talk to some of the people who've been there for 15 years because you get free medicine, free dental, free eyeglasses. You get free tuition for your family, like your wife or children would get free tuition at the university. Like it's a really great solid job, and it's union, so you can't get fired. And like it was just getting to me. So
What was
I
getting
said
to you?
it was too stable and no growth.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually when I was a kid, these kind of spoiled suburban kids who rally against the suburbs. Like I know I had a good life, but at the same time, I just felt like it was dead.
Yeah.
Like there was no history or weight behind it. But
Yeah, and
the irony I really like, Zen and ukiyo-e and that, and you come to Japan and it's just nowhere. Japan's just a country once you come,
Yeah.
and it's that was a good learning experience too.
Do you have any like sage advice for people that want to come to Japan? Like,
Well, the main thing is that you can do it,
yeah,
right? You don't have to think. We get people who post messages on the forum. How can I go to Japan? Well, go to Nova and get a job for a year. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a great job, but they'll get you in the country.
Considering they're bankrupt, yeah.
Yeah, well, they got. I can't remember who bought them, but they're still hiring people. The
Oh, there's one thing I wanted to ask you was about it's kind of off topic, but
Sure.
the whaling situation that has just been in the news.
Mm.
How's that being received over there?
Well, some Japanese are quite proud of it, and so I've seen some people who are like, "Oh, I think it's really important," and I don't quite understand that myself. Because the argument for it's a cultural tradition,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And I say, if you want to go kill them in a wooden boat with a spear, go for it, right?
Mhm.
Because that's a cultural tradition. Getting a massive battleship that
Yeah,
harpoons them with a exploding harpoon is not, it's not cultural. But at the same time, in the States, slavery is part of American culture. Should they argue to keep it because
right.
it's their tradition?
It's the argument from antiquity, right? Kind of.
Yeah, yeah, it's old, so it's good.
Yep.
So I know some people are proud, but the truth is most people don't eat whale,
You're right.
right? I think the main reason they stopped whaling this year is because the demand is down. Like people just don't want to eat whale meat.
Why would they say that instead of?
Oh,
I
I
think
don't know where I read that or where I saw that, but it was basically it doesn't sell
No,
as
but why
much.
why wouldn't they say that instead of saying, "Hey, the terrorists won" or whatever?
Because officially they don't kill whales to eat them. They kill them for research,
Okay.
and then they sell the whale
Yeah,
meat
yeah, yeah.
as a byproduct.
Right.
I had some minky. I don't know how to pronounce it. M-I and
Mink.
mink whale. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I had some mink whale last year. I had some sashimi, and it was edible, but it wasn't like I gotta have more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll eat anything if it's something that humans eat.
going back to we were talking about comics.
Sure.
You're a bit of an artist.
Yeah, that was my first year of university. That was my target.
Is and you've drawn a comic series here on JT, the
Yes.
JT Babies. Is that
Yes. Yes.
coming back anytime soon?
At the moment, I don't have any plan for it because I think when I did it, I was in the mood to do something really silly,
Hmm.
and right now I'm in the mood to do something a little more dramatic. But uh, if the silliness comes back, then by all means.
So is there anything in the works? Are you doing anything like maybe that you'd publish or something like that?
I
Or-
I just finished something last week. I finished a couple pages
Which is for what? For the forum or for
for
something
me.
personal for you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you looking to someday like put together some kind of collage or collection and
I used to do fanzines, and I think in 5 years, if I have enough that I'm happy with, I would self-publish or try and get an indie publisher to print it. But it's not like when I was 22, my plan was to be this comic artist where there's an indie comic scene, and like Robert Crumb
yeah.
and Dan Clowes. Like Dan Clowes is quite amazing. He's a guy who he wrote Ghost World.
Oh yeah.
So he's doing movies a bit now, but he's still basically a comic writer. The
Is
first 10 years, no money, but then you have this library of stuff you've created, and then you start to get some returns because they sell for the next 20 years.
has there been any big influence from like Japanese manga
Um,
on you?
Not so much, although I read Yoshihiro Tatsumi's, I think, A Waking Life. He was an artist in the 50s in Japan, and he's probably in his 80s now. He did an 800-page autobiography of his life in the 50s and becoming a comic artist, and it's really beautiful. It's quite cinematic, I think his influence is more from movies than from comics. But I think for great comics these days, I think Americans are doing a little more creativity.
Hmm.
Japanese comics aren't as experimental. They're more visceral. They want to catch the movement. They want to catch the feeling and catch the scene.
So do you prefer American comics then?
I prefer American indie comics.
Uh,
So I was talking to you a while back. I just read a Chris Ware book, and like Chris Ware, he's a comic artist, but he the stuff he makes wouldn't work as a movie. It wouldn't work as animation. Like it only works as a comic book. And if you haven't read it, like it sounds strange, but most superhero comics and most manga, you can make a movie out of it. It's not that hard to do. You just need the special effects.
Speaking of making movies, I know you also like to play around with Lego, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
I wonder, I'll throw this out here and see if anybody wants to comment on it. Would you consider, or would you be interested in making like what do you call it? A stop animation or something?
Yeah, stop motion.
Stop motion animation. Would you be interested in doing that with Lego characters?
I wouldn't be opposed to it, but the building is the main thing. Is you have to build your environment and stuff.
Yeah.
There's if you want to check YouTube, there's this techno artist, Printed Circuit, and her video for her last song was Lego stop motion. It's fantastic. It's amazing. One of the things I like about Lego is it's a very strong parallel for the real world. Whatever exists in the world can exist in Lego, and I just like the symmetry there. So this video, it's like guy wakes up 6:30, takes a shower, gets on the bus, goes to work, has a coffee. Very mundane life in Lego. It's beautiful.
And everybody looks the same, don't they?
They all have different faces. Lego started printing different faces about 15 years ago.
Aren't they all Asian though?
No, no. When I was a kid, when we were kids, it was two dots and a smile, right?
Yeah, but I mean the color. Aren't they all yellow?
Yes.
Yes.
Except licensed figures. Star Wars figures are pink, and Lando Calrissian is brown.
Do you have any shout-outs that you'd like to make, Def?
Not specifically, but I would just like to say I'm really happy with a lot of the people who bring content to the forum. I know it's not always bubbling with activity, but I think that the people who are there genuinely have interest in it, and they have a lot to say. So I'm very happy to see who's still around.
Great. Can you give us a shout out in Japanese? Something you'd like to say? Show off your skills.
No. Well, okay. Here's one of my first great phrases, which I learned in Japanese was "Ore no tochi o dete ike,"
Which means?
So that would be what a Japanese hillbilly would say, as in "get off my land." I wanted the image of like a South Carolina guy with a shotgun, someone to get off his land in Japanese.
So that's what happens when you get banned, right? You get
Yes,
that message from Def.
Get off my land.
All right. Well, I think it's time for you to get off my land.
Oh,
We've
I overstayed my welcome.
We've enjoyed talking with you, and somehow I think we're going to be hearing from you again on the forum, on the podcast, rather.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Take it easy. Thank you, everybody, once again for listening. Please tune in next time. We'll have a new guest, and we'll have a new host for the next show as well. So don't miss that. See you next time, guys.